Thanks, Sonia.
You're welcome.
Well, people who study in BC walk away from school with an average of $29,000 in debt.
That is a lot of money, and that's according to new research released by Consolidated Credit Counselling Services of Canada. Joining us now with more information, Jacob MacDonald is on the phone, the Manager of Community and Public Relations. Good afternoon, Jacob.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for being with us.
Oh, pleasure.
$29,000 sounds like it could cripple you for a while as you try and get your feet under you and start a career. And it's certainly in this part of the world. We've been talking on the show today about housing costs and everything. Why so high in this province?
I mean, the education across Canada is broken down under, according to the provincial government and how they want to run things. And I'm not a political scientist, but I mean, I did a little bit of digging into BC, and I just see around the early 2000s there was a lot of tuition raises due to deregulation. I know they tried to correct that, but the damage has been done. The numbers have jumped up. And, I mean, in the first place, it was too expensive, and it just keeps climbing.
Yeah, before we get into a comparison with other provinces, just generally speaking, how much has it gone up in, I don't know, say 10 years?
I mean, if we look back to, like, say, 1990, it's tripled or quadrupled. Like, I mean, all you have to do if you're going to enter post-secondary education now is just ask your parents or aunts and uncles how much they paid, and I mean, it might make you laugh.
We're looking at the sheet on the screen right now, and British Columbia brings us in at number 3, it looks like, in terms of Canada-wide, in terms of third deepest amount of debt.
Yes, that's right. They're just behind in BC. You're just behind New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. You're kind of bunched in with the Atlantic provinces, of course, with Quebec sort of as with the lightest debt levels.
Quebec by a lot lighter. What are they doing right? I guess it's still a lot of money. I understand that, but they're obviously doing something different.
I mean, in this case, I think it comes down to some political will. I mean, we all remember the mass riots, the student protests that we saw back in 2012 in Montreal. I mean, they spoke up, and it sounds like their government answered.
So how are students getting by here, Jacob? What are they doing to make ends meet? I mean, at least 4 years university, sometimes triple that. How are they getting by?
Well, they're taking on debt, is what it looks like. And I mean, and the numbers that we released, those are only government student loans. So, oftentimes we see students dipping into lines of credit or relying on credit cards, which, especially with credit cards, they're going to have a lot higher interest rates. They're really suffering, and as you mentioned earlier, it's a huge burden to bring into early adulthood.
Yeah.
I mean, what they're doing is I mean, we always encourage, to earn as much as you can in the summer breaks. There's no way that you're going to be able to pay for everything, but you can soften the blow. You can make a dent, and every dollar you earn and save is going to be one less that you have to borrow and pay back.
Are there any statistics that show just how long it takes to pay off? I mean, are these students must be in their 30s, if not later, before they've got all of this debt paid off?
I mean, I saw some statistics that came from ratesupermarket.ca. They look at interest rates for different credit products, and they have it around 14 years for the average payback. So if you're graduating at 22 years old, say, you won't be out of student debt until you're 36.
Yeah.
Jacob MacDonald, we appreciate your time. Thanks for your insight on this topic today on Afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jacob.